The first time I took my motorhome into Devon and Cornwall, I relied entirely on my phone's navigation app, and boy, was that a mistake. It worked absolutely fine until I lost signal on my phone, which if you know that area at all, you'll know happens fairly frequently, unfortunately. And then I was routed down these ridiculously narrow streets. Sadly, I also made the same mistake in Europe the first time I went over there, and we lost signal. We were actually up in the mountains and lost signal on the phone, got routed into this tiny little village with cobbled streets, and you just end up thinking, I really should not be here in a large vehicle like this. Since then, I've tried out a lot of navigation apps. I used to use an app on an iPad, and now I use a proper Sat Nav. But it's a question I get asked all the time is, do we really need a proper Sat Nav for a motorhome? So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the pros and the cons of having a proper dedicated Sat Nav in your motorhome and whether or not it is right for you. Before we dive in, if you're new here, hi, my name is Kat from Wandering Bird, and I'm here to help motorhome and campervan owners make their most of the time on the road, particularly those who want to take their motorhomes further afield or down into slightly less built up areas where the roads might be quite narrow, and I want to make sure you don't get stuck. Ready? Let's dive in. So let's start with whether or not you actually need a dedicated Sat Nav. The honest answer is you can get by without one. You can use your phone and use either Apple Maps or Google Maps or whatever you like on your phone, and you'll get where you want to go most of the time. The problem with using your phone is that it doesn't tell you some really important things. Now, if you're going places like the Lake District or Devon or Cornwall, the obvious thing that your phone will not tell you is roads that are suitable for the size of your vehicle. So if you have a motorhome particularly, obviously it's a bit wider than a standard car and it's a lot higher than a standard car, then you will not have a way of knowing if the roads that Apple Maps, for example, are sending you on are going to be suitable for your vehicle. I don't understand why they haven't done it, but they haven't done it, and it just is, you can't ever tell. So you have to take the route that you're being given by your phone app with a very big pinch of salt, knowing that you also have to pay really close attention to road signs as you're driving along. And if you see a turning, which happens to me all the time, where, you know, you're trying to go down a road and you see like a low bridge or it's too narrow or something like that, you obviously have to drive on, and then you're driving on blind, because until the Sat Nav or the phone app catches up with you, you're just sort of driving and hoping that it will give you another alternative. So that's the first thing that's really bad about using just a phone app. The second thing that your phone app doesn't tell you, or certainly I don't feel tells you particularly clearly, is when you are going to enter either a clean air zone or a toll road or all of those sorts of things. Now, admittedly, some phone apps are better than others, and I'm not getting into that in this video. But for me, I want to know very definitely, when I've said I want to go here, is that going to take me into a zone where I need to have a crit air sticker? Is that going to take me somewhere where I need to be aware that I've got to pay for tolls? Those kind of things are much easier, I find, to see on a Sat Nav rather than on one of the phone navigation apps. The other thing that's a downside to using your phone for an app, even if, like me, you've got Apple CarPlay, so you can have the route on your phone, but it actually shows up in the big screen on your motorhome. The big downside for that is obviously the whole thing relies on your phone having battery and your phone having signal. Now, battery is fairly easy to solve. Obviously, you make sure that it is plugged in as you are driving. But if it does fail for any reason, you are then without a phone and without a Sat Nav, which is a problem when you're in somewhere that you haven't got a clue where you are or where you're going. So for me, having the two separate is an extra backup, which especially when I'm traveling on my own is really helpful. Another problem with using your phone as the only navigation device is that if you get a call or a text message or a notification even, sometimes that will just take the map off the screen completely, which means that you're there looking at whoever's phoning you or whatever, and you don't actually know where you're going to go, which means you can miss turns, you can accidentally turn down roads that aren't suitable. There is a lot of jeopardy with that because it just blanks out the screen, which for me is a design flaw, but never mind. So reasons that I have a dedicated Sat Nav, and I'll be honest, I tend to use both. I have the route on the Sat Nav and I also have the route on the phone, and I have the two together. Now, if the two are both telling me exactly the same thing, that's brilliant. But obviously the Sat Nav has my vehicle's profile in it, so it knows its width, it knows its height, and it will have all of that information in it. Now, we all know that Sat Navs are not infallible, but having used one as much as I have, I find that the success rate is a lot higher than the failure rate on them. So for me, it's absolutely worth having them. The other good thing that I like about the Sat Nav, in fact, there's a couple of things I like. As I mentioned before, it will tell you where the toll roads are. It will tell you when you're going to enter a zone where you need some sort of sticker or you have to pay or something like that. But it's also really, really easy to find things like petrol stations. On mine, you can literally just press a button and then obviously along the route it will show you petrol stations. So if you're like, oh, I'm at about half a tank at the next fuel station I can stop, you can see where that is. But you can also, in like 3 clicks, if you decide, oh, actually no, I need to find a fuel station and there doesn't seem to be one obvious, you can actually find a fuel station around your route and it will tell you what the extra time is going to be, and it will of course put you on roads that are suitable for your vehicle profile. So for me, that makes life, especially again when I'm traveling on my own, so much easier. The other thing that I like as well is that when you put in, I want to go to here, it will show you all the different options, just like your phone does, to be fair, and you can select the route that you want to go on. But as you're driving along, it can say, hey, this way is now clear, or this way is quicker, or whatever, and you can decide if you want to take that slightly faster route or not. Obviously, the downside to using a sat nav is it's another thing. You have to charge another thing. You've obviously got to pay to get one of those, although their prices are coming down and down. And if you're going to do a lot of touring, certainly around places like Europe or places you do not know particularly well, I think it's an essential bit of gear that you need in your motorhome. If, of course, you are travelling in a car or a very small camper van where you don't have to worry about width and height, then they're not as essential. But if you've got a big hulking beast like I do, yeah, I think it's absolutely essential for you to have. And it's one of those things that you don't realise how much you need it until you find yourself stuck down a narrow lane, you're trying to reverse out, there's a load of people watching, it all gets very embarrassing. Yeah, if you had a sat nav, yeah, that would probably have been avoided. Another con with the sat nav is that you have to keep the software updated, and I don't think they make it clear enough when the software needs updating. So for me, before I go on any big long trip, I make sure that it is all updated. It actually is very easy to do, not like they used to be where you had to sort of plug it into computers and stuff. You can now do it all over Wi-Fi. So you can connect your sat nav up to your Wi-Fi. You can do that at home, wherever you want to connect it up to, and it just downloads and updates. But there's one more thing to remember before you go on your trip. So in summary, what do I do and what do I think you should do? Well, to be honest, I use both. I have the sat nav and I have the phone set up. The sat nav is my main device. If it tells me I should go left and the phone says I should go right, I will go left, as the sat nav says, because it's got my vehicle profile in it. Now, this is made much easier because I don't plan in the entire route of my trip into the sat nav or the phone before I go. I plan it day by day, and in fact, I normally plan it stop by stop. So if I'm going to stop somewhere for lunch, that's all I put in on my sat nav and on my phone. If you want to plan an entire trip, then a sat nav is absolutely the best option for you. In fact, if you use a route planning software like Wilder Trips, you can now download it with the files that can then be put onto your sat nav. But like, I never do that because I literally go day to day, and I like to mix things up as I travel anyway. So what I plan before I start is probably, I say, almost never what I'm actually doing, so I don't bother. So I hope you found that helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see more videos like this. And if you want to know more about touring around Europe in your motorhome or your camper van, you will find this video helpful. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you there. Take care. Bye.